Donald Glover is by far one of the most talented individuals of our time, whether it's writing, acting, music, comedy, animations. He does all kinds of cool stuff. And the problem with that is that when you reach a certain level of fame or popularity, people set expectations as to what they expect from you content wise. And so when it comes to this Donald Glover album, I think that's kind of what we're dealing with. And it's interesting because I watched his Hot Ones interview the same day yesterday when the album came out, and he even said himself in the interview when he was asked how does he handle and navigate the different types of fans throughout his career, and he kind of broke it down. He's like, yeah, my people in Canada, they know me for community. My people over here, they kind of know me for my like my college kids. They know me for my camp days, and then my people over here kind of know me for like Awaken My Love days in Atlanta. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, I kind of have an idea of what to expect on this album now because he has so many different types of people to please and make happy when it comes to like his fan base, and also this establishing himself as a leading man and someone who is viable as a pop star. So going into this album, Bando Stone in the New World, I already kind of knew what to expect. And I was telling my wife, I was like, this is going to be a potpourri of different stuff. Like, I don't think we're going to have like a locked in theme or narrative for this album, which is wholly disappointing for me because that's actually one of the things I love most about Donald Glover is the fact that he really does attach strong themes and narratives to his music. And I think that's kind of what the purpose of the film is, to kind of fill in the gaps of the album. And obviously Bando Stone is not out yet. Found out that it was a short film. I thought it was a full feature film. Turns out it's just a short film. Doesn't matter. But the film's not out yet. So because it's not out yet, it's one of those things where it's like I will dive into it again once I get to watch the short film and see exactly how the songs connect. But for me right now, this album kind of just feels like Donald Glover showing off a little bit, like showing his range, being like, hey, I can rap very well over here on this track, and over here I can make a super duper pop radio hit, and then over here I can make an alt rock hit, and then over here I can do some like West Indies type of vibe over here, and then over here I can do some power ballad sing songing here, and over here I can do a song for the ladies. And I almost felt kind of overwhelmed a little bit on how the album was just kind of all over the place. But then, like I said at the top of this video, it makes sense in terms of attaching it to what people expect from him. And at this point, people expect everything from him. So he's giving everything that he has. Now, does that make the album bad per se? No. But with that said, it's one of those things where I really wish that he would have locked in a more clear narrative. I'm a big fan of concept albums. I'm a big fan of people telling interesting stories through the music. And I just didn't feel it. Like I said, it felt like more like a demo reel for what Childish Gambino / Donald Glover is capable of, and a showcase of what he's been working on with his Gilga family. So for those who don't know, Gilga is his brand new studio that's out in California. It's a giant farm. Apparently he's growing like apricots and stuff out there, but it's also a production studio. So he's out there producing content, including Bando, including this previous album that we just heard, and the remix of Ada Vista. So we're starting to see like what's happening with Gilga here. Like, what is Gilga actually doing here? And I think that's kind of how I'm treating this, where it's like, this is like a demo reel / cross section of what you can expect from Gilga and Donald Glover in the future, which is this potpourri, I'm all over the place type sound. Now, if you like that or not, that's entirely a personal opinion. For me, it hits in a way that's I'm always going to appreciate. Like, I always will appreciate Donald Glover. Like I said earlier, he's my spirit animal. I rock with what he does. Sometimes the execution and the actual final product doesn't hit for me in the way that I need it to, but it's always appreciated. But with this album in particular, it's like most of these songs are like, it's a well crafted, well constructed song. in a way that showcases his talent, but it's just not for me. I personally wanted more rapping, and I was hoping for like a mostly rap album. I know I wasn't expecting that, but when he said that he was releasing this as the final Childish Gambino album, in my head, I locked in that this was going to be mostly a hip hop album. And the reason why I say that is because in my head, once again, and you guys can tell me how wrong I am in the comments, I think the difference between, like, musically when it comes to Donald Glover and Childish Gambino does come down to, like, in my head, Childish Gambino is the rapper. Childish Gambino is the one that's going to hop on a track with 21 Savage and start rapping, right? Donald Glover is the grown man who has evolved and makes songs like Redbone and albums like Awaken My Love, albums like Ada Vista. Now, he hasn't made that distinction. So that distinction is not clear with him. But that's how I always seen his music, where Donald Glover is a mature, Quincy Jones looking dude who's going to be making, alt rock and R&B songs and songs like Redbone. Childish Gambino is a rapper. That's not what we got in this album. I think there's 2 or 3 rap songs on here, and they're incredible. But the album, for the most part, like I said, it's full of pop songs. It's full of rock songs. We got a couple of hip hop songs on there. We got like some world music on there. It's a very diverse album for how concise it is, and it's one of those things where I'm just like, well, it's a lot to take in. And since there's no like driving narrative, at least seemingly at this point, like something to like bring me more into his world, it's kind of like, okay, cool, I'll probably listen to this a couple times and attach myself to a couple of my favorite songs and then probably move on. But it's a little bit disappointing in the sense that, like I said earlier, this is one of the things that make Donald Glover so special. Like when it came to Because the Internet and that album, and like the world that he created around that album with like the script, the interactive script, the music videos, even the clothes that he was wearing, and just his whole rollout was this thing where it made it bigger than the album. And like I said, the short film is not out yet. And knowing Donald Glover, we might get a lot more from this album than just this initial drop. Like obviously I'm expecting a couple music videos, etc. and so forth. But all in all, it's one of those things where it's like, it just didn't hit the same for me. And it might be because I'm older and I'm looking for something a little bit more for me. He does have a song with his child Legend on there, which I think is cute. And then he has the song Dadvocate, which is a great song. Like he does have these like kind of grown man themes on this album. And then he does have his pop songs on there. And then he does have his weird stuff on there. And so it works for anybody who is just a hardcore Childish Gambino fan and loves everything that he does. But the thing about me personally when it comes to Donald Glover is that like most of his music is like either like super hit or super miss for me, where it's like, damn, this is one of my favorite songs of all time, or this is a skip for me. And this album, especially the pop songs, I don't see myself listening to them on a regular basis. It's just not my vibe. It's just not what I need from him. And that's fine. Like, I'm sure that others will gravitate to those songs very well. I think a couple of the songs that he has on this album are definitely going to be worthy of radio play, which I also think is a goal, is that he's kind of putting himself in that conversation of, hey, I'm a pop star. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had massive hit singles, and you should treat me as such. Sorry, I'm kind of looking up this track list real quick just to make sure I'm talking about the things I want to talk about here. But he's trying to kind of claim himself in this lane of pop star, which is completely understandable because I believe that he is a pop star at this point. If you look at his track record, he does have massive Grammy Award winning songs and massive numbers on some of his songs, Redbone being one of the most successful songs in recent years, as is This Is America. So he has a case to be made as one of like the leading men in the music world when it comes to like pop music. And so songs like Real Love, Steps Beach, I think Running Around, I have to go back and visit. But there's so many songs on here that literally are just like designed for radio play. Now, radio, in a grand scheme, is a very broad term in 2024. I'm not necessarily talking about like, oh, this is on rotation on the radio, although that is very likely. I'm talking about when I say radio hits, I mean songs that like you can't escape. Songs that are so big and large that you hear them everywhere and you heard them whether you realize it or not. That's what I mean. He has a couple of those on here. All in all, it's a strong album. I've only given it 2 listens, and I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably dive deeper into the album once the movie comes out and look for those clues and those connects to it. It's solid. Like I said, like if you're going into this album, like man, I'm about to get a full Childish Gambino rapping album. He's gonna say all kinds of cool rapping bars. That's not this album. Although I will check out Yoshinoa, dope ass rap song. He goes off, the beat's crazy. That will help fulfill some of that lostness. But all in all, decent album. It's not my favorite Childish Gambino album. I can say that off rip because The Internet is definitely my favorite album from him, and this has not topped that. And that's okay. I like to think that Donald Glover will continue to make music for a very long time, and we will continue to get good music from him. So I'm cool with that. But you guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What was your favorite track on the album? Let's talk about it. Make sure you follow me too. I'm trying to get popping. I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.